Hello everyone and welcome back to another video where today I'm going to be going over the 4 most important steps that I believe make a good Minecraft build. I still have a ton to learn with building, but this is what I've learned so far, and it's kind of daunting to just hop into the deep end and make the most absolutely beautiful build. So this is kind of my progress that I've noticed and what has helped my builds the most, so I hope this helps you too. With that being said, make sure to like and subscribe, and let's hop right into the video. So up first, we have block palettes. Block palettes are going to be the fundamental, your number one thing that you are going to want to figure out when you are starting a new build. Now, this can apply to a singular building, or this can apply to an entire town or city, depending on how much you're wanting to build. So if you're like, I don't know what a block palette is, each of these lines is a different block palette. Now, you can always add specialty blocks in there, different blocks in there, but as far as your core building, it's going to be comprised of these blocks. In my opinion, to make a good block palette, you're going to want a few key features, one of which is a wood type. You're going to want a stone type, and then something to make it unique. So, for instance, over here, I have cherry planks and also spruce planks, but I have some moss, some polished diorite, calcite, and some stone bricks. So it adds a little bit of color in there. That's more of a neutral palette. And you can go on the complete opposite side of that spectrum and create more of a gradient. So this beautiful, definitely unfinished tower up here has everything from granite to terracotta. We have some acacia planks, some bricks, and I think this is exposed copper. And it makes a really nice gradient. It's all kind of along the same lines, but over here we have a very different feel. So this was kind of a rundown factory shop thing that I worked on. I think it was actually on stream, where we have some stone bricks, we have some spruce, some strip spruce, different mossy and not mossy stone bricks, some dark oak, just to make it look like super grimy. So build your block palette off of what aesthetic you're going for, and you can have these 4 to give a look at and see if they fit your fancy. But let's go into my normal world and look at how the block palettes are used in that. Alrighty, so if you guys are new here, this is the world that I have been working on, building on with my husband for a bit over a year now, and we have done a lot of building. We've been working on it kind of sporadically over the past year, but if we fly to this beautiful village, also unfinished, over here, this is actually our fishing village, and you might have caught a glimpse in it in the single player world that I've been working on. But a good kind of rule of thumb is we have jungle, mud bricks, spruce, and then different types of prismarine, just because I like the blue that it brings out. And the aesthetic that we were going for here is just a little bit more on the natural side with pops of blue, being that it is a little fishing village. We're just growing trees in the middle, so don't worry about that. But as for the specialty blocks, I added in some sandstone over here. There's some brick over here, so don't be afraid to add in new blocks that aren't exactly in your normal palette, but just have fun with it. If you're like, I think this block would look really good, try it. It's not going to hurt to try it out, and I'm really loving how this village is turning out. Moving on to number 2 in my list is depth and texture. These are probably one of my favorite things that I've discovered as I've gotten more and more into building. And my goodness, they can take a nice build into something that is leagues above what you built. And it was originally something that I never did because I like for things to be clean and pristine, but it looks so much better. So if we take these 2 buildings are actually the only 2 original houses that we made that are still standing. Our original starter house I did destroy because it was ugly. But if you can see, there's not much texturing, and the only form of depth that I really used was windows. And honestly, there's probably too many windows in this thing, and I may take these buildings down buildings down at some point, but I also like seeing how my building skills have grown. And also, I'm a little sad because at some point when I was AFK, they're setting up for this video or doing something else. A zombie broke down this door, and the villager in there is no more. So, rest in peace, Mr. Villager. He's been here for a very long time. But, anyways, moving on. This house is one that I really dove into with texturing. So I have smooth sandstone, normal sandstone. Over here we have mud bricks and packed mud. I played around with just different blocks, figuring out what looked better, what made it come more alive. You can see here, like, we have some like cracked stone bricks. So don't be afraid to play around with texture. Now, moving on to depth. You can add in different, pillars over here for support. You can have different, I guess this would be like a covered porch type of thing. You could add in like little stairs. There are so many ways that you can add depth that don't just revolve around windows, which it took me probably too long to figure out. Over here, you can see I actually use mud brick walls as a way to add in a little bit more depth without just adding in windows. Campfires are a really great like roof structure. You can bump out the entire like top of a build if it's 2 stories. So there are plenty of ways that you can do it that aren't just windows, and it took me a while to understand that. Windowsills are also a really great way to do that. So that's probably one of the bigger recommendations I have for how to improve your builds without having to change too much. All right, on to step 3, which is my least favorite one. And I don't know why it is. I just have such a difficulty with it. But the next way that you can use to elevate your builds is with roofs. I don't know why. I just really hate roofs, but these are what I have learned and found out, discovered through many, many experiments, have helped me out a lot. So if we look at our first 2 builds, they're pretty simplistic roofs. I added like a block and then stair elevation to give it a little bit more of a medieval feel, but in general, they're pretty simplistic, and sometimes a simple roof is good. It has its purpose. Even like switching up the direction of the roof can help a lot. Like this little row here is super, super cute. You can add in like little peaks, right? Or you could add in dormers as well. In this, our little shepherd, he has a like wizard hat, I guess is what I would call it, that adds in a lot of interest to it. It helps to break up the roof, which can be really nice. Or you could just go for a completely different style. Over here, we had like a top garden roof situation. And yes, that was to avoid doing a roof, and it turned out really nicely, and it adds a pop of color. But having more of like a dome shaped roof or little balconies or like covered porches, all of that stuff helps. I still have so much to learn with roofs, but you know what? It's a learning process. So we can take a look at a few more. There's like an A-frame one with a secondary, like, I don't know, add-on to it. I think the reason I have troubles with roofs is because I build the normal building first, and I'm like, what would look cool or what blocks would look good together? And then I make the mistake of, oh yes, now I have to put a roof on said building. But sometimes that's okay, and that's how you get some really cool shaped roofs and buildings, and just play around with it. Don't be too hard on yourself. Or, you know, if you're playing on a multiplayer world, make someone else build the roofs. I think Salad actually built that roof because I couldn't figure out how to work with it. But yeah, there are so many different types of roofs, and oh my gosh, when I make these videos, I realize how many times I have unfinished roofs, but we look at it from afar, not up close. But like we have a 4-peaked like clock tower up here, and then we have this nice like add-on off of it, which I really, really like. And sir, are you also missing a door? my gosh, we have a real problem here. But yeah, that's what I've kind of found out. Don't be afraid to add balconies or weird shaped roofs. It all adds to it. We're just quickly gonna add the door back. And then because I'm in creative, goodbye, Mr. Door. All right. Moving on to step number 4, which is my favorite. If we fly over here and we take a little walk in our harbor area, details. Details make such a difference in any world, whether it's small like a little planter in front of a window, or like this little gate with muddy bricks that you can kind of come down here to this back alley and it feels dark and dingy, or we're eventually going to add boats here, right? And so we have all of these different crates and barrels and like crab carriers, or crab traps, whatever they're called. We have little market booths and little wagons, and when I tell you it makes the world feel so much more alive, I really mean it. If there is one thing you take away from this video, is add little details. So that way when you're walking back through somewhere, it feels so alive and it feels so much better. Like we have our little clockmaker over here. He's a librarian, but he makes clocks in his spare time, definitely. And because you have to have gold to craft clocks, we have little like gold blocks that he gets to extract it from. And Finnegan's blacksmith is one of my favorite builds, not because it's anything special or it's anything crazy. It was a simple roof, which I did appreciate, but it's all of these little details. So over here we have a wagon with different iron blocks on it. We have an anvil in his like work uniform with all the leathers. We have a quenching cauldron. We have a little like smeltery for him with a magma block and a blast furnace, a chimney going up with the smoke, like, and some of the things that he'd be like selling at his shop. I absolutely love, I'm obsessed with this building because of all of the little details. The harbor felt so much more alive when we added all of these things into here, and it just makes a world of difference. I add details. Do yourself a favor and do it. Another thing that you can do is to use blocks, but for a completely different reason than they're intended. So here we have raw iron, right? For our blacksmith. That makes plenty of sense. But over here, when you put some, spruce around it like a little barrel, it can kind of look like raw cod. That would make sense because we have our little, like, obviously I know they wouldn't actually sell sushi here because this is like medieval times, but like they could sell fish out of here, right? You have no blocks that we can use as crab traps. Now you can also have like dried kelp as a dried kelp block. So play around with different materials, different blocks, and see what you can repurpose them as. It's a lot of fun. Like we have a little grindstone as like a little tiny wheelbarrow. Like it's so cute. So add details to your world. It makes it feel more alive. But yeah. Hopping over to the fishing village, we use scaffolding as like fish drying racks. That's right next to like a little grilling spot. We have another barrel of raw cod. In here we have other barrels and note blocks and hay bales. A little like bucket of water. Just different ways that you can use everyday ordinary blocks that definitely have a purpose or a function, but just used in a completely different way. It's just super fun. Try it out, experiment. If something doesn't look good, you can always break it and try again. But yeah, detailing's my favorite, if you couldn't tell. But yeah, I hope this helped. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope that if not all 4 of these, if at least one of these tips that I've learned throughout a long while of building, I hope they helped you as well. I can definitely tell with full confidence that detailing is my favorite part about a build and roofing is my least favorite. But start slow. If you're like, I think I would really love detailing, try it out. And if you're like, roofing is my jam, I am jealous. In fact, I will take tips from you from roofing. But basically the entire moral of this video is just try things out. These are 4 ways that I have greatly improved my building, and I hope they help you out too. So thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Bye!